have the honour of trying to unpack the Chinese Grand Prix. It was non-stop action, and this is going to be so tricky to do. So please bear with me as I try to remember most of what happened in this race. I'm a few hours removed. I've had a chance to digest what's happened, so let's get into this. Well, we need to start before the race had even begun because the McLarens did not start. Now, Lando Norris was in the pits, in his garage. He didn't even get out to do his lap to the grid because of an electrical fault. So the team were trying to get this sorted out, but unfortunately he wasn't able to make it. Lando said that they found out about the issue now before the race was about to begin, but sadly he wasn't ever going to take part in the race. Not only that, but his teammate Oscar Piastri didn't start the race either for an electrical fault, but they're saying it's for a different reason. So McLaren have got 2 electrical issues that they need to sort out before Suzuka in a couple of weeks' time. Somehow they're still third in the championship. I was looking at the constructors and I believe they are 1 point ahead of the next constructor, which is Haas. Although they didn't race, they're still third, but they are a long way off P2, which is Ferrari, and then obviously Mercedes, but we're going to get into the rest of the race. So the start was eventful, wasn't it? Lights went out, drivers pulled away, Lewis Hamilton from P3 got into P1, Antonelli almost got overtaken by Charles Leclerc, but he held position, so it was Lewis Hamilton, Kimi Antonelli, Charles Leclerc and George Russell. They chop and change positions to the point where Antonelli was able to get back ahead of Hamilton and sort of keep position, and then George Russell was able to make his way to the front. We had this awesome battle between Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc for like 2/3 of the race. Absolutely entertaining. It was on the edge of your seat stuff. I thought a couple of times they were going to crash. I thought Charles Leclerc had the edge at one point, but then Lewis Hamilton told his younger teammate, he doesn't drink beer, does he? Hold my water. And he rolled, as I said in the last video, he rolled back the years and put on an absolute masterclass. At one point I thought that Hamilton wasn't going to get Leclerc, but then he did well to manage his tyres and not stay in the dirty air of Kimi Antonelli. So he was able to use the tyre advantage and also his skills to put the burners on Charles Leclerc and finish on the podium for P3. So yeah, that was one of the highlights of the race, is that Ferrari battle. I'm hoping that this continues for the rest of the season, obviously, because I still believe that Lewis Hamilton has got what it takes to win his 8th championship, but obviously car is not going to allow him to do that this year, it would seem. But we need to talk about the Mercedes drivers. I need to talk about Kimi Antonelli, and I'm going to say this. Kimi Antonelli, I owe you an apology. I am sorry for doubting your abilities. I don't know what I was drinking, I don't know what I was smoking, but boy, you proved that you have got what it takes. I know George Russell had an issue in qualifying, which only meant he got to do 1 run versus 2 for Kimi Antonelli. But yeah, he didn't get the best of starts, but we just know that the Ferrari is a rocket ship off the line, so I'm not going to fault him for that. But he kept his composure for the Grand Prix, the entire Grand Prix, part of that one mistake towards the end of the race where I remember he dropped 2.1 seconds when he locked up at the hairpin. But other than that, he was absolutely flawless and he deserved the win. And I was actually rooting for him to get this win. When Russell got back into P2, I was a bit nervous thinking, oh, he's going to come back at him. But I was looking at the lap times and the delta and he was never really troubled, to be honest. So yeah, well done, Kimi Antonelli. You absolutely deserve this win. And please keep this up for the fans. We want to see a fight for the championship, and you've basically shown that you've got what it takes to go on to potentially win it. So yeah, I just hope you keep getting better and keep going as you are. Awesome stuff. Elsewhere in the Grand Prix, wasn't a great day for Red Bull Racing. Max Verstappen retired with 10 laps to go. Isaac Hadjar spun at the chicane, which dropped him back. It's what could have been for him because he was running pretty well, looked to be on top of the car, but that spin just sent him backwards and he had to pit pretty much after that. and then obviously safety car coming out didn't help either, but he managed to fight back to position 8. He scored 4 points for the team. That's better than 0, but he's already doing better than Liam Lawson 1 year ago, who by this point, I believe it was after this race that he then got demoted to Racing Bulls, and there's no sign of that happening with Isaac Hadjar. So Red Bull have got a good driver there when Max fumbles or retires. So let's see how he goes for the rest of the season. I'm going to keep my eyes on him because I feel like he can do well in that second Red Bull. Now, I'm not sure about you, but something that's bugging me and has been bugging me for a while, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but when a driver pits and comes back out, they don't tell us if they are on new tyres or old tyres, and if they are on old tyres, they don't tell us what the tyre age is. I thought this was an easy win for F1 to sort out, because I wasn't sure when some of these drivers came out what sets of tyres they were on in terms of whether they were new or old. So if you're watching, please, can you add that to your coverage to help the fans out? Because then we can get an idea of the strategic battle that's going on. Because if a driver comes out on old tyres, we know they're going to get gobbled up by another driver who's on fresher tyres. But if he's on a fresh set, just let us know by some sort of graphic. You're able to sort out the graphics for energy deployment and stuff. Why can't you do it for the tyres? Or even on the timing stream to the left on TV, put what tyre they're on and also how many laps the tyre's done there. It's such an easy win. But yeah, that's one of my gripes on modern day Formula 1. Now moving on to Haas. Ollie Behrman finished P5. Driver of the day if it wasn't for Kimi Antonelli or Lewis Hamilton, because Hamilton drove really, really well. But Behrman showing that should he need to be called upon, he is a good candidate, or an ideal candidate for that second Ferrari seat should Hamilton call it quits or Ferrari decide that they need to change Hamilton. I can't see that happening because of what Hamilton's invested himself into the team long term. So I do feel like Behrman's got another year at Haas Ferrari, but if he keeps on putting in performances like this, he might get stolen from another team, another top team in the future. But yeah, awesome stuff. And on the flip side, we talk about Esteban Ocon, who had an absolute shocker today. Did well, to be fair though, at the safety car to stay out on the hard tyres and be in the top 4, but it's absolutely unforgivable crashing with Colapinto on your outlap from the pits. Colapinto's gone into turn 1 in the lead and he's taken a wide approach, and then Ocon has seen that there's a gap which is never on. Then Colapinto takes the racing line, and I don't know if Ocon gets oversteer or he gets onto the curb, but I feel like something unsettled him, but even still it was bad judgment, and he's crashed into Colapinto and they've both spun. And I'll give Ocon credit in that he owned up to it on the radio, so fair play, but moves like that are just not on. I can't see him being retained by the team come the end of the season when his contract is due. I feel like they're going to change drivers for next year, and I don't see where Ocon goes from here, because he's had previous with complaining that something's wrong with the car, when personally I feel like you're just being outperformed by your teammate and just own it, okay? So right to be outperformed by your teammate, but can you come back at your teammate? But that's my 2 cents on the Haas drivers. But yeah, well done, Ollie Behrman, incredible drive. It's just something that I have spotted so far in these first 2 races. Pattern emerging where Mercedes qualify in the front 2 rows. Ferrari Grand Prix start will get one of the 2 drivers. As a result of that, there's going to be a battle for the race win. Then once that settles down, it then becomes a battle between the 2 Ferrari drivers. So let's see if this continues for the rest of the season. I'm absolutely loving it, but there's more races to be had. Development race is still ongoing, so it could all change, and it's all to play for. But let me wrap this video up by giving the Chinese Grand Prix a 4 out of 5. I did want to give it a 5 out of 5, but there are too many races left on the calendar to give it a 5-star. Compared to the Australian Grand Prix last week, it was a much better race. Again, we had a battle for the lead, We had the battle for the final podium places. We saw retirements, we saw crashes, safety cars, virtual safety cars. What else could you want from a Grand Prix? Absolute cinema, and I hope the rest of the season is like this. That's been my race review of the Chinese Grand Prix. I'll see you in the next video. Make sure you like, subscribe, put post notifications on, and I'll catch you in the next video.